Hey guys, I'm Laurel. Check out my interview on CreativeDisc.com, the #1 music website in Indonesia.
So, hello Laurel. It's nice to meet
Hey,
you. I'm
it's
Luthfi
so
from
nice to meet you.
CreativeDisc. Okay. Where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm actually in Sweden right now.
Okay. So, how's
Yeah,
Sweden? How's Sweden? How's Sweden?
Sweden is great. It's sunny finally after like the longest winter ever. It feels like a Game of Thrones winter that I just had here. And I'm Canadian, so like I know what winter is like, but it's a whole other thing in Sweden. So like the sun is out and so is my personality. Like it feels like just a happy day, and like everybody's, just the flowers are blooming and everybody's outside getting fresh air. So that's really nice.
So, Laurel, tell me your activity during this pandemic time.
Yeah, well, you know, for a number of years, just living in different places in Europe, I've actually been writing songs on Zoom and Skype for a number of years. And so when the pandemic happened, a lot of the songwriters and producers in my community of writers that I had met in person in different countries, like Amsterdam, Paris, Berlin, of course, Stockholm, a lot of them went online and started working on Zoom. So actually, this has been one of the busiest years of my life because everybody is at home on their computer wanting to write songs, which is so surprising, and I feel very lucky because I know that's not the case for everybody or every industry. So so it's been a very creative time and a time of taking chances and experimenting with different kinds of sounds and ideas, and yeah, just working honestly like every day on music. So that's what I've been up to during COVID.
So maybe like, do you have any new hobbies? Maybe like listening new music, or maybe like reading book, or maybe like new hobbies on this pandemic time.
Well, I did actually get a Kindle. It's right
Ooh.
here. So like I'm all about reading like random novels that are just like, for entertainment only because I spend so much time like thinking and paying attention and having like songwriting can be very intensive, right? And it's a really nice brain break for me to not look at well, it is a screen, but to not look at like a bright, like a TV or a computer or a phone, and to just kind of sit quietly because, obviously making music every day, I'm like tracking vocals in my home studio and like singing really loud. So it's nice to have like a quiet activity. But my skateboard is back in Canada and I really miss it. Like I need it. Ah! So that's the one thing I'm going to bring back with me the next time I finally go back to Canada when all of this is over.
Amen, 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 amen. So tell us about your new single called Habit.
Habit is a song about being in a toxic relationship with somebody and wanting to quit them, just like you want to quit, shopping too much or eating too many potato chips, which might actually be my habit, or, something more serious like smoking or drinking, or, it's really about understanding that sometimes our relationship with a person can be just like an addiction. And it's like a bipolar feeling a little bit. It's like it's up and down, it's hot and cold, it's like you're really torn in this song between like wanting to give this person up, but no, I don't want to give you up. It's too hard to give you up. But it's really in a playful way, so that hopefully we can all laugh at ourselves a little bit and understand that we're human. Like we all have it, we all struggle, but hopefully in the end we choose what's right for ourselves.
Whoa, such a deep meaning for this song.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I like when songs sound really fun and playful, but there's something more underneath for the person that's really into listening for the lyrics. like it has a deeper meaning, you know. I love songs like that. Some of the happiest songs are actually very like kind of kind of dark or complicated underneath. And so this for me, like this is I really like putting an extra layer in there for anybody that's kind of looking for it, right?
So you put many 90s Euro house, I think, in this track. So is the track is some of let's go into 90s vibe?
Oh, you got it, babe. It's all
Yeah.
of the 90s.
I think
It's got like million.
because I think like it's there's an Ace of Base beat on this song. I think like
There's actually a loop, like it's a very, very commonly used loop that actually it's been used in like thousands of songs that we brought back. And it's really similar to like, yeah, you said it, Ace of Base, Milli Vanilli, Paula Abdul, like we just went all the way 90s with the beat, but we put it in like a modern spin on it, you know, so that I mean it's also kind of leaning into some dance trends that are happening right now out of Amsterdam, and obviously there's like a Tones and I influence mixed with my one of my favorite singers, Jessie Reyes, another Canadian who's really, really, really sassy singer. And I just we just wanted to be as weird as possible and to just try to cook a recipe that hasn't been cooked before, you know? Like why do the same thing? Like why? I don't know. I love bringing back pieces of old songs and mixing them with new ideas. You know, that for me is a really fun thing to play around with and experiment. So that's what we did.
so like is dance music play a huge role in your music and your career?
Definitely. Yeah, I've had some pretty fun collaborations with DJs, and I have more coming out this year. Um, and it's been like a really fun way for me to expand my like international audience. I left Canada 4 years ago now, and I started traveling to different countries. I've been to over 20 countries multiple times, writing with different, you know, artists, labels, songwriters, and of course DJs. And so it's really like the DJ thing for me is, I mean, I just have such a outgoing personality, and I love writing upbeat music, and I love writing music that like brings people together. And I really find that dance music does that, you know, and it's really about like, I mean, it's so sad that right now all the festivals are canceled and people can't be together. But oh my goodness, can you imagine the party that's going to happen when that happens again? It's going to be
Yes.
epic.
Yes, it's gonna be wild.
Wow, everyone's going to be like, ah!
Ah!
It's been like
So-
however long, you know, they're
yes.
just going to have to blow off some steam.
It's almost one and a half year, isn't it? It's too long.
Yeah. And like, I wonder how long it's going to be, you know, it almost feels like we're in like a war. Everybody's hunkered down at home, waiting, waiting for this to be over. But, you know, it will be over one day. And that's why I'm focused on writing super, you know, upbeat music that just hopefully takes our mind off of it and gives us the chance to, you know, think about other things and experience. Like, music can be a really nice escape. And a really nice way to express ourselves, you know, while we're waiting. Waiting, we're all just waiting.
So, Laura, what experience did you take when you are working with EDM producer, with electronic producer? What the experience that you take?
Well, I've had some amazing experiences, honestly. I I can remember like Afrojack reaching out to me at one point and flying me out to work with him, and he's become a good friend. Um, and I remember being like just so trusting of the journey, you know, working with these guys. They're all really nice guys. When I worked with Quintino and I wrote a song called Good Vibes, I had been in a session the week before and I had suggested, hey, what if we write a song called Good Vibes? And everyone in the room was like, Good Vibes, that's cheesy. And I was like, oh, okay, that was a bad idea. But then I met Quintino and everybody said, do you know what he's all about? And I was like, what? And they were like, Good Vibes. And I was like, oh my goodness, like the light bulb went off. Oh, I wasn't supposed to write that song last week. I was supposed to write it this week with Quintino. So we did. We wrote good vibes, and we released it and it's got like 40 million spins and we're like, wow. So it's really like it's really about just like trusting that, if you are like just trusting your path, right? Then things happen, and you're going to meet people that you totally vibe with, and sometimes no actually just means not right now. That's what I learned from that no wasn't no forever. That idea just wasn't meant for that thing. It was meant, it was just something that was coming out of me for another reason. And it really gave me a lot of like, I don't know, just trust in the journey that like we're just all right where we're meant to be. And working with these DJs, I just love it. Like they're super talented, and like they, yeah, I just love those beats and how like every DJ has a little bit of a different personality in their
Yes, yes,
sound,
yes.
and
Indeed, indeed.
just like a finger.
So there's the DJ, and I think like you already write many songs from K-pop groups such as Twice and Oh My Girl, and something that I'm surprised when I check your Spotify page, right? Tell us how you can writing songs for these groups.
Well, the first K-pop cut I had was with Girls' Generation. I wrote their comeback single "Little Touch" for OGG. That was their kind of comeback group name. And we actually wrote that song in Nicaragua at a songwriting camp, and it was called All I Need. And it was a totally different lyric. We weren't thinking of it for Korea at all, but it ended up getting pitched over there and translated into the song that is now Lil Touch. And then it got released, and we were totally excited to see it like go number one in like 30 countries or something. We were shocked. And I was like, that was my introduction to K-pop. So I was like, okay, wait a second. I'm writing for like the literally like the OGs over there. Like what is gonna happen next over there? And then I started working with some guys in Sweden here that have crazy amounts of songs in Asia, in Korea specifically. And they were like, yo, let's write, like, we love your style. You have like, this like Anne Marie, Sia kind of, lots of different influences in your voice. Maybe your melodies would be really interesting for the Korean K-pop market. And so we wrote a song called Nonstop early last year. And yeah, it went to Oh My Girl, and then it ended up winning a Korean Grammy. And we were all like, what? So yeah, literally, it was totally that. We
Is it
were like,
is it just such a weird experience? I think for you, isn't it? Like you are in Sweden and you are whoa, you've got a Korean Grammy. Like what?
it was so cool because by then I understood the fierceness of the K-pop world. The talent that these girl groups have and the guy
Hmm.
groups have. Holy smokes, it's crazy. I mean, the audition process that they go through. I actually flew to Tokyo
Hmm.
a couple years ago to work
Hmm.
with a new girl band, and I saw the whole process of
Hmm.
how they get chosen and how hard they work and how talented they are. Oh my goodness. And it really made me realize that like all of these groups are just, they are unbelievably good at what they do. And their fans like are so fierce. I'm almost
Yes.
afraid of the fans,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
just so the fandom is another phenomenon, so that I just love it now. I'm obsessed, and writing for Twice is just like, it's kind of mind blowing to me that they cut one of my songs, because it's I mean, they're just so huge. And I just hope I get to meet them one day, like that would just be amazing.
So, from your perspective as a person who work closely with K-pop groups, especially as in songwriting, what do you think
Mhm.
about this K-pop boom nowadays from your perspective?
What do I think of like the K-pop
Yes,
popularity and
yes,
like the momentum?
from songwriter perspective.
I find it so refreshing from a songwriting perspective. I've been telling people in the Western world that like we all need to be writing more like K-pop, because you know I'm somebody that doesn't like to fit inside a box, and I don't think K-pop does either. K-pop takes chances. They change chords and they change keys in their songs and time signatures and beats, grooves like a million times. It's full of surprises, and I love that. I think that's so fascinating. And even like North American kids are on their way to school singing K-pop songs in their minivan, you know, on their way to school because they also love it. So like it's really, really the model of K-pop, if you want to even call it that, because there is no model, it's more about taking risks, is something I'm totally inspired by. And I mean, you can hear a little bit of that influence in my song Habit. Because I have 3 key changes before the chorus in my song. We're being weird in our song, like on purpose though, because it's like, well, why not? If you can do it in K-pop, like why shouldn't we just do it? Why can't we do it? Let's just do something different. I don't want to be the same. I want to be different because that's like we're all different. So why don't we just express ourselves the way we want to? And K-pop encourages people to do that, I think. So I love it. And I think it's only going to get bigger.
But do you find the first time you find a difficultiness, or maybe like you find a headache to find that a K-pop song plays many chord changes and technical changes like that for the first time?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So sorry.
Okay.
For the first time, do you find it's really challenging, or maybe make your headache to find that K-pop song plays many
Yeah.
chord difference in the one song?
Yeah. Like, do you mean when I'm listening or when I'm writing it?
But when you writing it.
Yeah, like K-pop producers will send me tracks, and I mean, I was a jazz major, so like
Wow.
luckily I hear the chord changes, but it's still like messes with my brain because I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I make sense of how can I make this melody feel natural even though it's going through all of these chord changes, but I love the challenge. And it's really kind of funny sometimes. You're like, how did they think of that? Like, how did this producer go, I'm just gonna throw a curveball in here and just put this. I'm like, thanks a lot, man. But it's actually really fun. It's really fun to write. It's a lot of work actually because you have like, as opposed to maybe like a ballad or something, or a regular US pop song that has maybe like 10 vocal tracks. K-pop tracks have around like 50. So you're tracking vocals all day because there's so many little backing vocals and ad libs and quirky little things that you have and stacks of harmonies, and yeah, it's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. I think it's just so wacky. Yeah.
This is an interesting take that you are a jazz grade jazz comes from jazz out of school, right?
Yeah.
Comes from jazz school of thoughts, and you are writing a pop music. So is
Hmm.
it any difficulty for you to adapt it from the jazz style to the pop music?
Yeah. So I went to jazz school because at the time where I was in Canada, there wasn't any like pop universities where you could go and get a degree. But I'm glad that I got the foundation of jazz, the theory, the rhythms. I still to this day fall back on all of these patterns and rhythms that I learned in my jazz schooling. But I totally had to unlearn like the
Yes, yes, yes.
like I had to leave all of that behind for the sake of like being really swaggy. But it was more, I changed more when I got into songwriting and pitching songs for different artists, because then I had to, the one thing jazz teaches you is to kind of play with different sounds and voices. So I started switching hats with my voice, and putting on different like emotions and different like qualities in my voice, based on what I was writing for. And I also do that for the Korean market. So it's actually, having that jazz experience has actually come in really handy. I think it's been more helpful than harmful. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Asian market, like in Japanese and Korean, is so many jazz chord. I think hidden in the
Yes,
pop track and in the dance track.
yes,
Like is one
yes.
thing and twice things like my friends is really is on jazz school too, and is like to examine K-pop song. They say what this K-pop song is so jazzy. Like this is missing type
Cool.
of chord of jazz, and
Yes,
I'm speaking with the songwriter of K-pop, and you approve that. Wow.
totally. Well, maybe your friend is going to be a writer for K-pop
Oh,
if that's what they're
amen.
working on, you know, you never know. You never know. A lot of jazz musicians end up getting into like writing for, well, not even just K-pop, but writing pop music in general, because it actually feels so much easier for them, you know, because they have that foundation, and they know so much foundationally and chordally, that they can move wherever they want, you know, and
Yes,
voice
yes.
things however they want. So very handy.
So, mention five things we didn't know about you.
What sorry, say that again?
So, mention five things we didn't know about Laurell.
Ooh. I surf. I'm an auntie. Did you know that I play piano and guitar?
Hmm?
Um, what else? What else? What else? I also am British.
Ooh.
My parents are from Liverpool, which is the home of the Beatles.
Ooh.
And even though I'm really outgoing, I'm also really shy. I'm actually 51% extrovert and 49% introvert.
Mm, that's a balance, I think.
Pretty good, right? Or
Yes,
or
yes.
conflicted, like habit, like a little bit like ah.
Like it's been a nice things to talk technical side with you, because this is such a rare moment for me. This is my first time I'm interviewing not just a singer but a songwriter, and you have an emphasize on the jazz chord. Whoa, it's a nice talk to see you. Okay, last question.
Oh, cool.
What's next for Laurel?
Yeah, so I have a music video on the way, and people can get a sneak peek of the dance on my TikTok. They can come and duet with me. So much fun. It's literally so much fun.
Whoa.
And and I'm dropping a record later this year, which is
Hmm?
full of really like sassy, bratty songs that are very Lizzo inspired,
Hmm.
and hopefully another single later this year. So that's the plan. And right now we're just riding the habit wave.